As journalists and television hosts, scripts are a lifeline. Each newscast, each story, it all revolves around a script.
But now it's time to go unscripted. That means we're not just going off script, we're throwing out the script altogether.
Each week, we're joined by fellow Farm Journal hosts and editors to peel back the layers on stories we've shared throughout the week.
Unscripted. It's real, it's raw, it's entertaining, and it's your chance to meet the personalities behind the personalities. I'm Tyne Morgan.
And I'm Clinton Griffiths. Welcome to Unscripted.
Welcome to the third edition of Unscripted. I'm Tyne Morgan.
And I'm Clinton Griffiths. So glad you could join us. And we're joined by, just a legend, ladies and gentlemen.
Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Why did it take until the third episode for...
You're busy, I'm busy, we're all busy.
The Chip Flory to agree to be on?
Yes.
Chip,
well,
so good to see you.
You know, I see who you had on in front of me. I'm taking notes.
As you should, because Jim Wiesmeyer did have a few jabs to throw at you. So
that's what I understand.
Yeah, he's talking about, the only reason he roots against the Cubs is because of you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that does not surprise me at all. When you've worked with somebody for almost 40 years, you tend to get some of those tendencies. And Jim thinks he's got a lot of things that he does that I don't know about. He's got nothing that he does that I don't know about.
You've worked with him for 40 years?
Almost.
Were you 3 when you started?
Oh,
No.
definitely.
But thank you.
Hey, real quick though, you did mention the Cubs. How are those Cubs doing, by the way?
Good. When they put the full team on the field, they're doing really well. Really, that's the absolute truth. They have proven so far that they cannot deal with Atlanta. There's a lot of teams that can't deal with Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta's really good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
And the Buccos out of the beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, are a big problem for the Cubbies too, for some reason.
It's early, as they say. How long can we say it's early? Is it till the All-Star break? Is that how long?
No, June 1. June 1. Okay. Then you're into the meat of it. Yep. Okay. Yep. You can't really lose the pennant until Memorial Day. Okay. But you can't win it either.
You can try real hard though. I've seen some teams really trying.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm not sure why we don't start our own sports podcast, but for now, for Unscripted.
Oh, we gotta talk Cyclones too?
Listen, you can start your own sports podcast. But for now, we're going to get back to some of the topics that you covered this week. Chip, you interview more people than any of us every week. I mean, you're talking to several people a day, AgriTalk AM, AgriTalk PM. You talk to a lot of folks, have a pulse on a lot of different things that are happening. There's a lot going on right now, from Washington to some issues in the field, getting the crop planted this year. What was the best conversation that you had this week?
Well, the best conversation that I had this week, it may have been with a regular on the show, and getting his analysis of what's in the House Farm Bill proposal. Paul Neiffer, the son of a gun, brings it every time. It's because he puts his efforts in. He understands what he is looking at. He understands what really matters to farmers. And we got him on, and he was talking about what some of the proposals in the Farm Bill might mean for farm program participation going forward. So I thought that was really interesting.
Chip, did any of those really stand out to you as like, hey, I think this is something everybody really should pay attention to because it has potential to impact the day-to-day?
Yeah, it's the increased support on crop insurance participation.
Oh, okay.
I think that there's always that's always an important thing. I've been in risk management for a long time, and risk management starts with a good insurance plan. And when you can build that good insurance plan with what's being offered through the Farm Bill in particular, that's one reason that I think we need to pay as much attention to the Farm Bill process as we do on AgriTalk. So, but then reference prices when it comes to the Title I, the commodity title. That's where we spend our focus. And the weird thing is we spend our focus on 12 or 15% of the farm bill when 85% of the farm bill is in nutrition. The rest of it is in conservation. We'll spend more time on conservation than we do on nutrition on AgriTalk too, just because we spend time on, the farm part of the farm bill, not the nutrition title.
Chip, we knew it was going to be a political showdown.
Yeah.
But I think I underestimated just how spicy it was going to get. And
This
it
farm
is
bill is
getting
spicy.
spicy right now.
That's ridiculous.
On both sides being said that some of the, scoring the farm bill and how much it's going to cost, that hasn't been accurate, that this is politically driven. I mean, there's so much being thrown right now. And I know Secretary Vilsack had a press call on Wednesday, I believe it was,
Yep.
talk about some things. And I don't know the last time that I've heard a secretary come out with a press call before the committees even voted on a farm bill. I mean, he's even getting involved right now.
All right. So you're stealing one of my headlines.
Okay, wait. Then
later.
we'll save it. We'll save it.
Okay. All right. Because you're right. It's one of the strangest things that I've ever seen. We had Gene Millard on the show on the Farmer Forum. Legend. You want to talk about a legend? There's
Gene's the best.
Had him on the Farmer Forum on Wednesday, and I got a note from him afterwards saying, "Geez, I hope I wasn't too brash when I was talking about the Secretary of Agriculture." Well, Gene's such a gentleman; he would be concerned about that, but no, he was not too brash. And there's a lot of people, I think, that are really confused over the whole process right now, including me, including Wiesmeyer. The reason that there's the level of confusion over what's happening with the Farm Bill is because we're doing it in a way that I don't think has ever been done before.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Well, in the past, even when it came to the nutrition issues, remember when Frank Lucas from Oklahoma was pushing the Farm Bill through on the House side? For a short period of time, they busted the nutrition component out of the Farm Bill, passed a bill without any nutrition title in it, and then when they went through the compromise committee and they merged it with the Senate version of the bill, they put the nutrition title back into the Farm Bill. So that was the first sign, and that was on the 18 bill. So that was the first sign that things are getting different on this Farm Bill negotiation. But I think back to when it was a very bipartisan effort, when Colin Peterson was working with Mike Conaway out of Texas, and they were sitting down having a conversation about not what can be in the Farm Bill, but what should be in the Farm Bill, and then bringing that list of here's what should be included to the committees for consideration, and finally to the full Congress for consideration. There isn't any of that going on. Their within the Ag Committee, they are communicating via press releases. They're not sitting down and talking about this stuff. And on AgriTalk, it's hard to. Personality comes through in a radio program. Personality comes through in a talk show. So it's hard to keep my right lean out of the conversation at all times. But we try to include all points of view on AgriTalk, including the Democrat views on this Farm Bill. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I'm just speaking the truth here. Democrats are very, very hesitant to talk about the Farm Bill, and it's because they really don't have a bill. All they've got is this basket that they've thrown all these other proposals into, and then they focus on nutrition and they focus on conservation and leave everything else as is or as was. And it's just a strange process that they're going through this time.
It seems, and we've all covered the Farm Bill, right? So
Yeah.
it seems like we start talking about it, and then it's like, oh, there's a proposal out. Well, it is just a proposal. Well, then that has to get through committee, and then that has to get through a vote, and then they have to reconcile after both sides get on. And so it's like we just drip along here with facts and details until we finally get to some vote, which is either usually late or last minute.
Yeah.
It seems like, and I don't know. It's a hard thing to
Well,
cover.
DC works best on a deadline. There's no question about 100%. That.
Yeah,
so
they actually need a deadline.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything until they absolutely positively have to do something. There's no question. But go back even further, Clinton. Go back to all the listening sessions, all the Farm Bill hearings that took place at county fairs and in at different town hall meetings and everything. GT on the Republican side in the House put in a ton of work on this. And I didn't know GT at all before this whole process started. And so far, I've been pretty impressed with what he's doing. And he's willing to listen. He's willing to listen. It's just that there's been very little to listen to. He's got to read it in a press release from the Democrat side. I don't mean to get that political, but it's true.
Well, before we move on, though,
okay,
don't you think that's why farmers tune a lot of this talk out? I mean, we cover it. You talk about it. We write about it on AgWeb, and policy is often the least read articles on AgWeb, and it's because it's all of this that happens, all of the arguing, all the fighting, all of the, it seems like we're having movement, but are we having movement? And it takes so long to get it past the finish line. I mean, I think that's why farmers tune it out. But I remember, I'll never forget, I interviewed Dr. Joe Outlaw one time, and I said, why should farmers care about policy? Why? And he goes, farmers should care about policy because it'll wipe you out quicker than a drought.
Yeah, absolutely. The rules and regulations and the game or the playbook on how to participate and stay competitive. Merrill Oster, who was a founder at Pro Farmer, always said, take a piece of pie when the pie is passed. If you don't, it's going to be gone by the time it gets back around to you.
It seems to me like, Chip, we're like one bad policy away from, agriculture having an issue, right? So if you don't get a tax exemption that gets filed, or you don't continue to fund conservation, or you don't continue to fund crop insurance in the way that it's traditionally been funded, all of those things feel like they're just razor's edge, right? Because we don't necessarily have an elected group of officials that live and breathe farming and agriculture. And that obviously is why there's so much passion on the food assistance and nutrition side of the Farm Bill.
Right.
But it just seems like,
by the way, do help us out. That's demand.
Yeah. And that's 100%. Of course it does.
Right.
But it just feels like that's why we cover it. That's why you cover it, because, one piece of this gets left behind, and all of a sudden, it's hard to get stuff to come back. And two, you can start a chain reaction that has a really long tail.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard Colin Peterson yet, former House Ag Committee Chairman Colin Peterson. But Colin is a Democrat. And when he talks about the Democrat involvement in the Farm Bill, he just basically says the redistricting has taken Democrats out of farm country. And we don't have many Democrats representing congressional districts that are primarily fueled by agriculture. There's a couple of exceptions out there. In his state, there's Angie Craig. From Illinois, there's Sorensen, who, by the way, this morning, both went to Chairman Thompson and said, we can mark up your farm bill, but we're going to vote no for it. We're going to vote no. And it's because they've been told to vote no. It's not because I don't believe for a second that Angie Craig has got anything in this farm bill that she looks at and says, no, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. I can't imagine that she would rather give up some of the things in the commodity or even the conservation title in order to take their stand on the nutrition title that the Democrats are going to be taking and be willing to vote no on her own based on what her constituents are telling her.
Yeah.
But here she is. She's already gone to the chairman and said, I'm going to vote no.
Yeah, interesting. Politics being politics.
It's not even interesting anymore. It's BS.
Yeah. So welcome to Washington, right?
Yeah.
Chip, let's flip over. Let's get your craziest headline of the week. We're going to call it "What the Sigma."
We don't have to explain to Chip what the Sigma is because we taught him last week. We were actually in person with Chip at a breakthrough event in Kansas City. Great event. Great to see Chip in person. We got to see Davis in person. It was awesome. But we were able to educate him on things like what the Sigma. And I don't think he's sold, Clinton. I don't know if he likes this new lingo.
I know. What he's going to do. But you will soon, because all of your grandkids, as they get older, they're going to be saying things to you. And you're like, what are you talking about?
We're just trying to make you hip and cool, Chip. Hip and cool.
I will correct them. I will.
Please.
We're going to get you some jorts, some white New Balance.
He already has jorts.
You can get out of the yard. Come on.
Of course I do.
He has a place on the river in Iowa. He already has jorts.
Yeah. All right. Not only that, but I'm a 90s dad. Of course I've got jorts and New Balance tennis shoes.
Do you really wear New Balance? I haven't seen you wear New Balance before. Are you sure?
No, I don't.
James bought a pair of Skechers. And I don't think he'll live it down. Like I'm questioning. He says
Under Armour. I'm an Under Armour guy.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Hey, he said he's a 90s dad, so I'm in on that. And we hadn't talked about it, Chip, but you're a big Creed fan, right?
Oh yeah,
big fan. That's
a what the Sigma.
Yeah, there's
or was it Nickelback?
One of the things that I think people find very surprising is I'll listen to country music, but I'm not a huge fan.
Interesting.
Let's not tell your affiliates that.
That's they don't care. But if we go through a list of concerts that I've been to, and throw one in that you haven't been to, I've never seen Garth Brooks just because I don't have a desire to.
Interesting.
But I've seen 38 Special. I've seen REO. I've seen. I've been to a lot of concerts, but country concerts are a little bit further down the list. Now if you want to start talking about old school country,
we can talk old school too.
Yeah, okay. I'm all in on the old school. George Strait.
Okay.
Justin
I heard
Moore.
He's not good in concert.
Oh,
because he just stands there.
Right, because he doesn't have to jump around.
He just sings. Randy Travis.
And that Ace in the Hole band that he's got playing behind him.
Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
What's your favorite concert you've been to?
Oh, I love that question.
Oh,
what the Sigma? What's your favorite concert?
This one. See. I'm going to pull George Strait out because it also had Tim McGraw. It also had Faith Hill. It also had, so there's that, it was a George Strait.
Yeah. Wow factor.
There's that. But for an individual performer, Phil Collins.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Really?
At Rosemont Horizon. We saw Billy Joel one week and Phil Collins the next.
You're living high.
In 1 week in
what
college,
year was that?
38 Special.
Whitney
Houston.
What year was that?
Van Halen.
What?
Yeah, in 1 month. In 1 month, I went to 4 different concerts. Yeah, it was
What
amazing.
year was that in?
1985.
That's the year I was born. Clinton,
I spilled beer
Hey,
on a
I
woman
was
in
already
front of
born,
me.
but
you did?
Oh yeah, I was dancing, and I did one of these. I was holding a beer and did one of these with my hand straight down to the floor. The beer went like that. She spent the rest of the time combing the beer out of her hair.
And you still owe her an apology. So if
Oh,
you're
I
watching,
turned around and looked behind me so fast. Like,
who did that?
hey, knock it off.
okay, Clinton, what's your favorite concert you've been to?
That's a really good question. I've been to some concerts, but I've never been to I don't go to tons and tons of concerts. In fact, I like smaller venues where you can go and I don't care if they're just a local musician.
Yeah.
There's so much musical talent out there that you can be there next to them, and they're just incredibly talented and great musicians. I guess one of my favorites that I ever went to in college, we had Collective Soul was there, and it was a great. I don't know if you remember them. They're from the 90s again.
I remember.
Yeah, it's just a really good concert. It was a lot of fun. We were on the football field. It was just a blast. It was really cool.
Yeah. How about this? Let's do this. Favorite warm up at a concert, because I've gone to concerts for the warm up.
Oh,
all right.
Okay, who's yours?
Okay, in college, I went to see Men at Work, only because In Excess was warming up for Men at Work. All right, had to be there for In Excess.
I'm writing this down. I've got to Google Men at Work. Are they the ones that wear like construction uniforms and dress as Indians? No. Oh.
Yeah, no, we actually walked out before Men at Work got started.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then warming up for REO Speedwagon was Saga. You want an album, War of the Worlds. You want to talk about a good 80s album. Saga, War of the Worlds. It was
so
awesome.
Good.
We took the girls to, I did. James did not. He wouldn't go with me. I had a chance to interview Luke Bryan. And I said, James, do you want to go? And he said, I would rather have an ice water enema. So he did not attend with me. But last year
he hates good music.
He does. Last year I took the girls to Taylor Swift. James wouldn't go, but it was their first concert. We only paid $99. So a ticket. So I felt like that was a steal. They loved it. And just to see their faces was amazing. But we took them to Toby Mac just a few months ago, the Christian artist. And it was, now Toby Mac's their favorite artist. Like, it's fun to take them and see them soak it all in. He really is a great performer. And he's like 50 something, which surprised me because of the amount of energy. And that is young, Chip. That is young. I just didn't expect him to have the energy that he had more energy than I did. But last weekend we went and saw Stoney LaRue, Texas country. Apparently not a lot of people up here know Stoney LaRue. And it was in a town that we live nearby, Richmond. It's only like 5,000 people. Yeah. They've done a really good job. They have this new venue, and
I'd go to that.
They brought in Stoney LaRue. Anyway, so that was fun. All right, now we've got.
How about this? How about most surprising concert I've ever been to?
Okay, what's your most?
Mine's Sir Mix-a-Lot. Go ahead.
In Sync with Smash Mouth warming up.
Come on.
I am jealous.
Yes, Chip, no way. That's a crazy concert for you to go to.
With Smash Mouth, I bet that was fun.
Oh yeah, they sang All Star like 5 times.
Are you serious? Because it's their only song. Oh my God.
It was the only one they had at that point. Yeah.
Fine. I've got a good Toby Mac story. So in college, we went to. Remember, he was part of a group called DC Talk.
Yes.
And they were singing in Oklahoma City. And my buddy and I, so we decided in college, we're going to go to the concert. And he works his way up to the front of the stage. And so I'm not sure which one of the head guys, I think it was Toby Mac, is going along shaking hands of people in the crowd along next to the stage. Gets to my buddy who has his hand out and reaches down to shake his hand. And then my friend, and so right then he realized that he has touched probably 100 different hands. And so as his hand is up, he goes, "Nah, I'm good." And then pulls his hand back, and the singer is just like, "Really?
What just happened?"
It's so funny. It's the funniest
there's
thing. Because
Toby-
there's this famous guy and this kid just like, no, I'm good.
Clinton, Toby has the same energy today than he had back then. I'm telling you, I was amazed, and he played
Yeah.
forever. Anyway, okay, we got to get to the What the Sigma headline.
Yeah.
What is yours, Chip?
Yeah, Agriculture Secretary Vilsack to hold press conference to discuss the Farm Bill. On the surface, that's such a benign headline, but when you know everything that's going on in the background on that one, it's a wild headline that the Democrat Party has gotten to the point that they're putting the USDA secretary out there as their front man on this farm bill is one of the craziest stunts I have seen in a farm bill process. Secretaries have commented on the farm bill in the past,
Right.
but to be the lead guy of a party in this public negotiation is too weird for me. Too weird.
Not only that, I mean, I've never seen where some of the university economists that are combing through the Farm Bill and giving their analysis, Chip, I cannot believe the number that are criticizing those and saying some actually aren't economists. They can't do math. They can't calculate percentages correctly. Like, it is getting ugly.
Oh.
Chip, where's ranking
Well,
member
quit
Scott?
making mistakes. Then it doesn't have to get so ugly.
Is it mistakes, or are they just cherry picking the data that they're analyzing? That's my question. Was it a miscalculation of
What's
percentage?
the difference?
I mean, optics, I guess, but I don't know what to believe anymore, Chip. There's so much back and forth information that is not the same about both versions of the Farm Bill. It is hard to keep up, and I can't imagine what our viewers trying to take all of this in. I mean, it's going to get ugly. And we surveyed our economists in the Ag Economist Monthly Monitor. We surveyed and asked, even with movement on the Farm Bill, now that we've seen the text, do you think it changes the timeline of the Farm Bill? Last month that we asked this, before they had released their copy, no one said we would see a Farm Bill in 2024. Some said early 2025. More said late 2025. Some said after 2025, 2026, right? Chip, we asked it again in the last one. Only 2 people changed their answer to 2024. The majority are saying this changes nothing. And I think the showdown and the fight that we are seeing over a Farm Bill proves that nothing is changing there. We may see text, but we're far from an agreement and from finding some middle ground here.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen in 24, it's not going to happen in 25, so it would get pushed out to 26.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
And the reason that I say that is when this new Congress comes in, the first thing they're going to have to deal with is the debt limit, and that's been an easy haul for Congress to deal with. So, that's going to occupy all of their time for a lot of 2025. And I think that'll probably push things out to 2026, unless somehow, some way, they find a way to get it done in 2024.
Let's hope.
And
a lame duck. I mean, it's going to be lame duck, right? That's the only.
I would put if it's going to happen in 24, I would put equal chances on before the election and after the election.
Okay.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
Chip, I know you've reached out. I mean, you reach out to everybody, but ranking member Scott, he's put out some press releases, but we haven't heard much for him. And I think that goes back to your point about, sending Secretary Vilsack out versus the ranking member out to talk about this.
Right. How much have you heard from Stabenow?
Well, I was just going to say, you reached out. Has Stabenow been on? You reached out.
Well, several times. Constantly.
Yeah.
And has she been on?
Open invitation.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, not. Yeah, she may have been on AgriTalk. It's been a while, but it wasn't to talk about this farm bill. And we were talking about other issues the last time she was on, so that's how long ago it's been. But no, she's got an open invitation. She can come on She can come on AgriTalk anytime she wants. I will bump just dang near anybody
Mm,
to make space to get stabbing on the
Right.
show. That's the
for sure.
bottom line.
For sure.
Okay, Clinton, your What the Sigma headline, and for those of you that did not join us for our first episode, What the Sigma is pretty much like what the heck, but that's what the cool kids are saying nowadays.
Cool kids say.
And Clinton is our compass when it comes to the latest and hottest trends because
Listen.
he does have junior high and high school kids.
That's right. So listen, there's a ton of crazy headlines out there, and I'm in for all of them. I mean, we've got movement around
I'm in for
Taiwan.
all of them.
We've got issues in Europe. We've got stuff going on in Ukraine and Israel, Iran, those areas. Like, I mean, there are a ton of great, wild headlines that are actually potentially very impactful for all of our lives
And scary.
and scary. But this one I found the biggest what the Sigma are you talking about? So there is a trend out there of people stealing artwork from Taco Bell. I'll say that again. People stealing artwork from Taco Bell. Now
Is
this
this
goes
a
back.
TikTok trend? Is this like eating the Tide Pods? Let's be honest.
No. So this goes back to the early 2000s. There was a guy named Mark Smith who's an artist, okay, and he was contracted to create artwork for Taco Bell stores, and he made like 3 different prints. Anyway, those got shipped out to all these stores. They're stretched canvas. I mean, like, they're nice, but they're just prints, right? There's not actual artwork. Well, I guess in 2015, the first time it happened, a burglar broke into a Taco Bell and ran off with one of the art pieces off the wall. I'm telling you, on eBay, some of these art pieces of art are selling for $10,000. Taco Bell prints.
They also sold an image of an ape for $1 million.
$1 million?
Well, yeah, what was that called there for a while? The virtual art.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You bought some of that, did you?
No, I did not buy some of that.
I think
The something teas. I can't remember what
that's
NFTs.
proof that
NFTs.
anyone can be an artist.
I
Chip,
think you're probably right.
Chip, you should make some NFTs. I think that might be a hot ticket for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that would be good.
Non-fungible whatevers. Yeah.
My What the Sigma is not as crazy as that, so I guess I'm going to have to get crazier. But my What the Sigma is, do you know they've never offered the Indy 500 drivers the option of chocolate milk?
What?
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. Whole 2% skim, never chocolate milk. And I'm thinking, if
I don't even think they offer buttermilk, even though that was the first one.
They don't any longer. Yeah, because they say buttermilk's changed. It's not the same. So you're not going to want to drink. I mean, I use buttermilk. I make Texas sheet cake. That calls for buttermilk. There's certain recipes that call for buttermilk, but you're not going to take a quick swig of it unless you want to puke. Right.
Right.
So, but my thought is, I mean, if I'm hot and get done with chocolate milk, sounds amazing. That's quenching.
Sure.
Like, why wouldn't you? But they never offer chocolate milk to drivers. I just find that interesting.
Chip,
you want to hear the latest milk trend?
What's the latest milk trend?
Strawberry milk with watermelon blended up.
What? Really?
Where are you seeing these trends?
I tried it. It's delicious.
What?
It
So
does sound good.
you blend the watermelon like you blend like in a blender?
With strawberry flavored milk.
Just plain strawberry milk, or do you do like Fairlife or one of those that's more protein packed?
No, plain strawberry. Buy it out of the convenience store, strawberry milk.
No, that sounds pretty good. I've got a problem with strawberry milk. One of my kids threw up in a back seat after drinking it once, and I just can't smell it.
Yeah. Chip,
I'm sure it's great.
But there's some memories.
Sound good to me, Chip.
Chip, this weekend, put some vodka in it. And some ice cream and have yourself an old-fashioned adult milkshake.
If we really want the kids to take a nap, I guess we will.
Oh, yeah, you have the grandkids. I forgot about that. You may need it.
Yeah.
You may need it.
No, as much research as we've done on chocolate milk, Tyne, about, the recovery and the impact, and it helps athletes and on and on and on, and that's been put out and studies been done by the dairy industry. I am surprised that chocolate milk Isn't it?
has not been offered.
Well, and it's probably a tradition thing, right? It's always been this way. And so why would we introduce chocolate milk? I guess I just thought maybe the drivers never chose chocolate milk. I just didn't realize it wasn't an option. We used to go to the Indy 500. Chip used to join us and do the show at the Indy 500, and they rolled out the red carpet. They were so great to work with. This is when when we lived in Indiana, we would go down and do the show, and we talk ethanol and dairy, right? Because that was what the focus is this weekend for the Indy 500. I've never been to the race. I don't know if that should be on my bucket list or not. My mom and dad used to go. You went? Was it worth it? Was it worth the hype?
So I will say it was a cool experience. My dad, his favorite childhood memories are when he was little. His dad would load him up in the car. They would drive around in the hay pasture, the hay meadow, until they could get a signal in the mountains of New Mexico where they could listen to the race. And it's one of his favorite memories. He's a huge fan of the Indy 500. So when we first moved here, family came up, we went to the race. Nice. It was a cool experience. It's hard to watch in person. It's a lot better as far as like the actual dynamics of the race on camera, because they come by and it's gone. Yeah. And it's just so fast. You don't get to see all the maneuvering and everything from wherever you sit. And there were a couple guys behind us, that were enjoying themselves a lot, and brought their friend in a fifth. And it was, that was an
Chip Flory?
As well.
Was Chip behind you?
It was not me. Not me.
No. It was an experience. I enjoyed going, but as far as like enjoying the race, it's hard to enjoy the race there. Just if you really are into the race.
Yeah. I'd rather be at the lake.
I got you.
On the river.
On the river in your case. River, lake, it's the same. Your river is our Lake of the Ozarks, so it's the same.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to our next segment. TMI can't believe this happened. Lots of different moments throughout the week to reflect on. Chip, what you got for us?
Tuesday, late afternoon, evening, the storms are rolling through Iowa. And I did what most Iowans do. I was outside grilling pork chops, waiting for the storm to roll through. And I was just fine. I was just fine until I looked up in the pasture and saw 2 trees blow over, and then heard the trees cracking in the timber next to me. That's when I made a beeline.
It was that close. Was it a tornado?
It was not classified a tornado, but when I look at just what happened on my little spot, I don't know how it wasn't, because it took the tops out of trees and knocked down live pine trees. So it was pretty gnarly.
To watch those videos this week.
Pork chops were delicious too.
Oh my gosh. But to watch those videos of the tornadoes that rolled through Iowa this week, there's a lot of talk about, was there any warning? I mean, we knew there was going to be severe weather, but talking about right now, it's always hard to forecast the spring, and the meteorologists admit that. But right now there's a few different things going on, and we talked about it on the show, that all these tornadoes, the severe weather, the flooding, it's this quick transition from El Nino to La Nina. But a lot of talk of, was there enough warning? And I know we're going to debate that. What is this tornado going to be classified as? But to watch that video of what happened to those wind turbines when that tornado went through and the aftermath, and just my heart goes out to all those people in that Iowa community, because absolutely gut-wrenching to look at that footage.
Yeah, absolutely. They say April was the second highest number of tornadoes on record in the U.S.
For that month.
And we reported this morning on Ag Day that there has been severe weather reported every day so far this month in May. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to deal with.
Well, and the amount of rain, like in Nebraska, 5 to 7 inches. Our friend Caleb Hamer, Chip, sent me a video of a crossing, and I mean, they got, I think, 5 inches in a couple of days, more rain than they had all of last year during the summer.
In less than 12 hours, they had 5 inches.
And so flooding there, a lot of replant. But it's crazy how quick it has switched. I mean, we couldn't catch a rain last year. And then
Right.
this year, it seems all these little rain showers that are popping up, keeping some of these farmers out of the field. But USDA says Iowa and Illinois jumped up more than 20 points in planting progress, Chip. But I keep hearing from all these farmers saying, listen, we get a little bit done and then the rain pushes us out of the field. Do you believe it? Do you think that much progress actually happened? Not this week, but the week before?
Yeah, I do. Just from driving around in
Okay.
Northeast Iowa and Eastern Iowa, it looked like there was significant progress made by Sunday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
3.8 days suitable for field work in Iowa in the week ended May 19, and they put in 20% of the corn crop.
Isn't that wild? It's
Yeah,
wild.
Talk to any farmer. Give me 5 days, and I'll have
Yep.
my crop.
It's wild.
Planted. But what does the crop look like that's in? Because on my drive this morning, I was noticing we have a lot of yellow corn around here. Just the amount of fertilizer that we've lost just with all of this rain. Some of the corn looks like crap. I don't know what.
Yeah.
We've got crappy corn around here.
A weak start.
That's an official term.
In a lot of fields, it's a weak start. I don't think there's any question. And I don't know what that means for us later. If corn crop goes from isn't that cute with the new plants emerging to a really ugly stage where everything's kind of uneven, and then things even out and it gets pretty again. The ugly stage is going to be really ugly on this corn crop.
181. You think we're having a 181?
Well, she's going to ask you the question.
I don't know.
She's going to ask you the question.
Yeah.
181.
Yeah, 181's darn. It's hard to get to. You cannot rule it out at this point, but it's hard to get to. And the growing season to this point hasn't done anything to help us to get to that 181. I'll put it that way.
But what did we learn last year? Don't bet against the American farmer. Holy cow. I mean, I'll never forget Crop Tour going out, watching the crop die in the field, and us think there's no way we're going to have a record yield this year. And lo and behold, we did.
Yep.
Interesting.
TMI, can't believe this just happened on my end. Apparently, my youngest, who is the reason that I have gray hair, thankfully I get blonde highlights to cover it up. But she looks like James and acts like me. And I don't know if I'll survive the teenage years. I don't. She's in 2nd grade and she knows how to get under my skin and chooses to do so. Anyway, she's decided she's a Cardinals fan. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And I think it's because my dad is such a Royals fan. I mean, I was born in Kansas City. We've been through a lot of heartbreak, over the years. And I'm more of a football fan than I am a baseball fan, but we like the Royals. So everyone around here is a Royals fan. And so she's decided to pick the Cardinals. Well, our boss, Brian, loves the Cardinals. And so he's going to send her some jerseys. So last week I told her, I said, listen, Brian was in town. She called me and she said, Mom, did Brian bring me those jerseys? And forgot them. And so, and then I get a text message from James and said, hey, Kimbrell's asking for these jerseys. Anyway, so I told, and Brian felt so bad. So he's shipping her a box of several jerseys, and these are nice jerseys. And I'm like, Brian, I don't know if I want all of these. Like, I will send them back to you. I mean, a couple of them are some that'll go in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, my team, I can't believe this just happened, is, what a little turd. Because all of us are Royals fans, she's a Cardinals fan.
I'd kick her out.
Well, my dad's threatened.
Says the Cubs fan. That's so funny. Well, my TMI can't believe this happened. We got word over the weekend, and not to bring it down, but to share some, some memories and stories, was we got word over the weekend that the founder of RFD, Patrick Gotch, had passed. And, Patrick was a kind of a giant in the industry. He kind of bootstrapped his way into building a network, and then had several networks: RFD, the Cowboy Channel, the Cowgirl Channel. All of our programs air on satellite radio, on their satellite radio station with rural radio. And we had spent several, events and quite a bit of time with him. And I'll never forget, this was a few years ago, Patrick they bought Don Imus's ranch out in New Mexico, kind of a really interesting place. And
Have you been there,
walked in-
Chip?
No,
Oh,
it
it's
does.
amazing.
I haven't
Amazing.
been there, but when that happened, it made sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
That
So
was
he
fine,
bought the
nice.
ranch, and we show up. We're doing an event out there in New Mexico, and we walk in, and I see Patrick sitting and talking with a guy, and they're watching baseball. And I was like, "Oh, well, hey, what's going on, Patrick? How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, hey, we'll talk to you in a little bit." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's fine." He's in the middle of something. Anyway, he comes back out, and the guy with him was a gentleman by the name of Daniel Lawrence Whitney, who's Larry the Cable Guy, was sitting in there. I didn't even recognize him because he didn't have on, his Larry the Cable Guy outfit, but they were working on a deal for RFD to do a comedy special. And, it's just kind of indicative of the circles that he ran in and the people that he was around. And, he kind of built this rodeo program and all the things that he's done for that part of our industry. It's just, he'll be missed. He did a lot, and he was just a really interesting person and a real entrepreneur that had a passion for, rural America, the farming and ranching way of life.
He took risks. He took risks that benefited all of us. I mean, you talk about a giant in the space, as you mentioned, a visionary, but not a lot of people would have said a 24-hour network focused on agriculture and rural life that would have worked. Not a lot of people, I imagine, betted on him that it would work, and he proved a lot of people wrong. And as a result, all of us benefit from it. And continue to find ways, new innovative ways to focus on rural America. So hats off to him. A sudden loss, from what I understand, it was completely unexpected. And RFD is now figuring out a way to move on without such a visionary leader. But he has 2 daughters that are extremely brilliant. I think have taken a lot of notes over the years and have some great ideas themselves. And I'm excited to see what they do with RFD TV because they had a good mentor, their dad, and now that baton's passed on to them. I think they're going to do great things with the network.
All right. Well, let's hit our last segment here before we run out of time, which we don't have any time, but because it's unscripted, Chip. We call this My Fantastic Life.
Chip, Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure you are headed to the river. How far is the river? How far is that from your house? Where you are?
A couple hours.
Okay.
Couple of hours, but we've got a place over there on the river that we like to spend our weekends, and it's closer to get to the river house for daughter Emily and her family and son Thomas and his family than it is for us to get over there. So, and that's by design on their part. That they love spending time at the river house and with their families. And
Chip, what happens at the river house? I mean, are you fishing?
What happens at the river stays at the river. I don't even know why you would ask that question.
You're grilling out, you're running a bonfire, you guys got the bags out. Like what goes on here at this place? Other than meeting movie stars and country music singers.
Right. Pretty much all of the above.
Okay.
On that. But my son Thomas and son-in-law Dave and I love to duck hunt. So we do quite a bit of duck hunting in the fall. We'll fish any time of the year, and we've got several good options for fishing up there. All the grandkids get involved in that, and Emily, my daughter. We spend all the time that we possibly can outdoors when we're up there, including spending some time on the boat and just time with friends and relaxing and having a good time. So.
Chip, for someone like me that's downriver, it was hard for me to always understand.
See, I'm across the tracks. She's downriver. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I am. And, you couldn't pay me. You could not pay me to swim in the Missouri River where we are. I mean, I'm at the point where people drop bodies off in Kansas City. They drop the bodies off after they kill them in the river and they float up in Oric. Okay. So I would never, ever, I won't even go out on a boat. Like, it is disgusting to me. So the fact that you guys, I have an image in my head And I know it's more like, for us, we go to the Lake of the Ozarks. It's more like a lake, like it's very calm.
Yeah.
But for us downriver, I just can't imagine because it's just totally different. It's north of St. Louis, Mississippi. I mean, I've heard basically it is like a lake.
Well, absolutely. And get up to Dubuque and go north of Dubuque, and you've got the high bluffs on both sides of the river, on the Wisconsin and the Iowa side, the backwaters. And then of course the lock and dam system. You've got these different pools that kind of cater to different things, and recreation is one of the things that the Guttenberg pool kind of caters to. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now we do swim in the river. We do spend time in the water. There's no question about it.
But it's calm, right? Like it's not like it is here.
Yes, and you pick and choose. When the rollers are open on the dam and there's a good current going through, you don't mess with it. You just do not mess with that current. But when the rollers are controlling the flow and slowing things down, it's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Clinton, where you grew up, there's not a lot of water. So like with James being from the Panhandle of Texas, he's not used to a lot of, lake time and river time like we have here, because it's just there weren't a lot of options where he wasn't.
So yeah, I grew up in a desert, and so there wasn't like a
dry
lot of lakes in southwestern New Mexico, and there just weren't a lot of lakes around. Like, I mean, you could go to Elephant Butte Lake, but it was about 2.5 hours. And I had a lot of friends that did, but my folks, we're a big people. We don't water ski well. And so we didn't spend a lot of time on the lake, although we did do every Memorial Day. We would go into the White Mountains in southeast Arizona. And I don't know if you've ever been down there. There's a place called Greer, Arizona, Springerville, Show Low. Some of those areas is just gorgeous, kind of the southern tip of the Rockies. And we would fish every Memorial Day. My parents, we'd rent a cabin up there, go with a bunch of friends, and fish in the mountain lakes and streams. And it was just an absolute blast. Awesome. Rainbow trout and browns, and that was about kind of what we caught. And it was just fun. It was a lot of fun, and those are great memories from my childhood. My kids now, they have their last day of school. Speaking of my fantastic life, today, and then tomorrow they're hitting the beach at Lake Michigan. And so that's the plan. Now, to give you a little perspective, my kids have become northern kids. Mm-hmm. Water temperature is about 58 degrees. And they are excited to go.
The river's a whole 70 degrees right now.
That's like
imagine.
Trout fishing somewhere where the water, like it's fresh springs, like that is freezing. But if you've never been to Lake Michigan, put it on your bucket list, because that's one of the things I think Clinton, both of us were amazed with when I moved up there, and then when you moved up there, was just how beautiful and pristine.
Oh yeah,
it's cool.
I lived in Chicago for just over 3 years. I got to see that lake all the time. It's gorgeous. It blew me away how pretty it was.
Yeah, I couldn't swim in it until August because I'm weak, and it was always too cold.
Know. That's what I'm saying. Nobody goes in the water. I couldn't go into the water till August, when it's, a balmy 73.
Well, the girls had their last day Wednesday. Yeah. And so like any good parent, I signed them up for summer school, because that's what you do.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But summer school isn't like it used to be. Apparently, if you get perfect attendance at summer school now, you get a $100 gift card. Well, I had to inform them, I signed them up for a basketball camp, and they're going to miss a couple days. And so my youngest, Kimbrel, the same one that gives me gray hair, informed me she's not going. If she's not getting $100, she's not in at all. Well, last year she didn't want to go. And I said, just go the first day, try it. And if you don't like it, we'll talk. So she comes home the first day and she said, Mom, I don't like summer school. And my response was, I don't raise quitters. So you're going back to day 2. So she remembers that now. And she's like, I'm not even starting, but they're going to summer school.
That's so fun.
They're going.
That's awesome.
Why wouldn't they?
That's awesome. No, we're just excited to have, and Chip, you may remember this.
Well, I'd have rebelled against that one too, Tyne, just so you know.
Listen, I don't blame her. I don't blame her, but I mean, what else are they going to do? I'm not having them sit on their iPads all day. I've got to work. So for 3 weeks, they are going to go to summer school, and she's going to
3 weeks. Yeah.
It's not bad.
I get
But
it.
it is all
I
day.
get it.
I do feel
Yep.
it's all day. So that's
Yep.
going to be a bit of a challenge, but
We're just happy, and I know my wife's finally just happy to not have to pack a lunch for 3 kids every morning. She just she's awesome about it. That takes that under, her goal every day is to make sure that the kids are well fed, and she's like, I'm just so sick of packing lunches.
but now it's
Earlier this
another
week,
Yep.
she had like nothing to send them. She's like, I don't know.
well, that's what I thought about today when I left. I was like, oh crap, what are the girls going to eat today at home? Because I had enough for lunches, but now I'm like, I don't know what they're going to eat today.
Right.
So I texted the babysitter and said, I'll Venmo you money if you want to take them to get something to eat. Because I didn't think about it. I was not prepared.
All right, Chip, we better wrap this
Well,
up.
hold on. I got to tell you, my wife's last day of school is next Friday.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
She looking forward to it?
So very much. Very
Yeah.
much.
Is it always this late or was it snow days?
No, it's usually just after Memorial Day that they get out. And in 2024, my wife is the Iowa Athletic Administrator Assistant of the Year for the whole state of Iowa.
Way to go, Sue.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
That's awesome.
How long has she been in that position?
She has been at the school for 28 years. She's seen several principals and superintendents.
Yeah.
So she kind of runs the joint.
That's
I would
really cool.
expect
Yeah.
nothing less from
Yeah,
her.
that's right.
But she enjoys it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. She enjoys some days more than others, but
Well, I bet she.
We can all relate.
I
yeah.
bet that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
my parents were both teachers. And there's a reason I'm not in education. One is you have to have patience, and I don't. And two, both my parents were in education. And so I quickly realized my dad, an ag teacher, and then my mom, English teacher, then librarian, but she coached and she did all of that. I mean, as an ag teacher, you can't coach because,
Right.
every spare time is contest teams and all of that.
Right.
But I watched them, and it is kudos to all of the teachers. Kudos to all of the staff at the schools because I couldn't do it. I walked in to the second to last day. I helped out with something at the school and I quickly told the teacher, I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do this every day. I
Yeah,
could not
yeah.
do this every day.
I got one more.
Yeah.
We're talking about family now, so I'm bragging.
Let's do it.
Okay. You haven't asked me about Wing Fest in Cascade, Iowa.
I didn't even know there was a thing. I'm sorry
Oh,
to be so naive. Tell us about
you
Wing
mentioned
Fest.
this last week, Chip. Tell us about Wing Fest.
Wing Fest in Cascade, Iowa. There were 6 teams 2 weekends ago, and it was a competition. All right. It was a judge competition. It was a people's choice competition. There were 5 barbecue teams and or restaurants, and then there was my team and my son's team representing his business, Eastern Iowa Taxidermy.
Is that that's what your team name was?
Oh yeah,
Oh
Eastern
my
Iowa
God.
Taxidermy. Yeah, and Eastern Iowa Taxidermy went into Wing Fest in Cascade and came away with the judge's choice for the overall best wing and the people's choice.
Come on.
Yes.
That's huge. That's
Yes,
This
Oh,
was Tom.
that was Tom. Yeah,
Listen,
I was
now-
in charge of the fry station.
now listen, we've got Memorial Day coming up.
Yeah.
What makes a good wing? How do you do it? What are we doing here? What's
You start with some smoke on the
Okay.
grill. All right. And you get them really close to done, really close. And then they've got to rest. They got to get together in a roaster and just kind of hang out together for a while.
Chill.
And then just before they're served, that's when you put them into the fryer, hit them in the fryer for about 3 minutes, take them out, sauce them up, and serve them, and they're delicious.
So how long of a process start to finish?
We got the wings at noon. We were serving the first batches of wings at 3, and we served over 800 wings. And things wrapped up at about 6:30, something like that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Over
one,
800 wings.
remember when I told you I don't have that kind of patience? I don't know if I can allow that long for wings, that process. That is a long time. And two, I mean, I've got to ask, since it was the taxidermy business,
Yeah.
was it chicken or was it something else?
They made us use actual chicken. Roadkill for some reason was ruled out.
It was not squab. You didn't do squab this time.
We didn't do squab, aka
You
pigeon.
can look that up. They can look
Yeah.
up what squab
What
is.
is the craziest roadkill, or not roadkill? What is the craziest thing that you've eaten? Because if Tom does taxidermy, I mean, imagine you guys try anything
Tom has not brought me anything from his taxidermy business to eat.
that you
Nor
know of.
do I think I would choose to eat that.
That you know of. What is he bringing for Christmas that he's not telling you the
Making sure
truth
he
about?
says that.
You know, that barbecue shredded meat, you can do that with a lot of critters.
My
So I
aunt
don't
used to-
know.
My
I don't
aunt used
know.
to make squirrel and
Pulled pork.
noodles.
Oh, yeah. Squirrel and dumplings is delicious.
Mm.
Absolutely. Just last night, I was out foraging around in the timber and came home with some oyster mushrooms that I fried up for supper. So, yeah,
And
it's
you
delicious.
you can eat those.
Oh, yeah.
Do
So far, so good.
they take you on a trip? Do they, Chip?
No. It was halfway disappointing.
I'm not a
Did you
big
go
Mark
back to the Smash Mouth concert as soon as you ate them?
Yeah. They only played that song once, but he remembers it 6
5
times.
Oh, shoot.
All right, Chip, thank you for joining us for this
All
edition
right.
of
You guys are rock stars.
Unscripted.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I know you've got some shows to do, so we want to let you go. But don't forget to subscribe to our podcast every week. You can find us on the Farm Journal YouTube channel. Unscripted. I'm Tyne Morgan.
And I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. You can dive into more of Unscripted on Farm Journal's YouTube channel and listen to it anywhere podcasts are found. I'm Clinton Griffiths.
And I'm Tyne Morgan. From all of us here at Farm Journal, keep it real as you live your life unscripted.
Unscripted is a production of Farm Journal Studios, where no one grows alone.